Jason.
Recording in progress.
So when I speak, are people hearing an echo? Okay.
I'm not hearing.
Not anymore.
I'm not hearing an echo, but I'm hearing an echo when I speak.
Right. And we're all hearing that. So, oh my goodness.
Greg, your name shows up twice. So I don't know if you're logged on 2 different ways.
Probably I was trying everything I could think of.
So take one down and that will solve the problem, I think.
Okay, I will try.
I think everybody else is okay.
How about when I speak? Is there an echo? So it was probably just Greg. Okay, Greg was probably hearing the transmission and then rebroadcasting it again because he had the 2 links up. Okay, so thank you all very much for attending this meeting. I hope everyone received the meeting materials that I sent out, and I apologize for them being sent relatively late. But we kind of have just one very important task here at this meeting, and it's going to be really important if you have the meeting materials in front of you to be able to look at them. I want to bring up, hold on a second, I want to bring up what I indicated was going to be the meeting procedure. So we're soon going to just start talking about the possible substitute terms that we've been discussing for the last 3 meetings. The meeting materials suggest a few more terms for your consideration. And I'll shortly go around and ask for a show of hands, and as indicated in the procedure, to get an idea where people are, and then we'll go further from there. But before we do that, I have a couple things I wanted to present. Many people in this group are advocates, and I think that's tremendous. That's a big reason why you were asked to be part of the group, and other people have lots of familiarity with this subject matter. Probably everyone more familiarity than the staff with the commission, because we're kind of generalists with regard to the law. And so your input is very much appreciated. But I want to try to remind everyone something about this assignment from the legislature to recommend, for at least for the commission, to recommend a substitute term for dependent person and dependent adult throughout the codes. I think there is a tendency, or there's been a tendency so far in our meetings, to try to advocate for the best term that someone thinks would be ideal to be the substitute term. And it would be great. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just seeing. Shoot. Okay. I just got a message from another panelist that says that they're not seeing themselves.
Who is the panelist?
Bobby Dutta. So if someone, yes, if Sarah, if there's some way you can help with this.
Yeah, they're under attendee. They're not listed as a panelist.
Right. Okay. Do you have a way to contact, do you have a way to send an email to Bobby?
Yeah, if he's in and he can hear himself as an attendee, he just have to raise his hand when he's
No, he's not in anything right now.
Yeah, he did as an attendee.
Okay, all right then. All right, fine. So can he hear me now, do you think? It's fine. I guess we'll have to go forward. Hopefully he will be able to, I'll call on him when it's time for that. So there is a tendency, I think, to want to advocate for a substitute term that would be what a panelist feels would be the best substitute term, and that's certainly understandable. But what I would urge to you is that probably a more important consideration may be making sure that any term that's selected is just not a bad term to be substituted in. In other words, it doesn't have any significant negative consequence rather than being the best possible term. Because I think that we can tell from our discussion that there's probably not one ideal term that would satisfy everyone and everybody would think was just the best term. But and the legislature at some point came up with the term dependent adult and dependent person, and they probably recognized this was not an ideal term either. But now they're recognizing that it has a significant negative. And so that's why they've given the commission this assignment, is because there's a significant negative about those two terms, dependent person, dependent adult. So the commission is not going to want to recommend to them another term, which is an improvement, but also has a different negative connotation, which is very significant. So certainly feel free to advocate for whatever term you think is best, but try to have in mind this notion that we don't want to recommend a term that has any significant negative. In other words, a term which is pretty good, not the best, but it also doesn't have any significant negative, is probably what we're shooting for here, because that's the term that's not going to cause the problem that exists right now, and which is the whole basis for having this assignment. Okay, so before I do what was indicated in the notice that went out about how we're going to go through this, I said, ask, does anyone have any additional term? There are 6 terms which are in the materials that were sent to you that I highlighted in bold. They were numbered. I will read them out again. Person, and we're using person/adult because the idea would be to hopefully come up with the same term for both person, dependent person, and dependent adult, except we would use the word person or adult, depending on what was appropriate. So the 6 terms which we're asking you to consider, and then plus any other term that anyone suggests at this meeting. Number 1, not the best choice necessarily, just in numerical order, we have person adult with a support need, person adult with a functional limitation, then 3 terms that were suggested by staff: person adult with a functional support need, person adult needing functional support, person adult needing functional accommodation, and then another suggestion offered by Greg, one of the panelists: person adult with a disability as defined in section, and then there would be a reference to a section number that would correspond to the definition. So, does anyone have any other term that they would like to have added to this list? Because then I'm going to ask for kind of a show of hands. So like right now, tentatively where people stand.
Okay, Adienka has her hand raised.
Okay, Adienka.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for your continued work on this work group. I have a very brief statement that I'll make, which includes terms that are not within this sex. We support the term supported person and adult, or alternatively, a person or adult who is supported. At the last meeting, I was really moved by Dr. Perez's comments regarding how language is a part of the problem with ableism and how it can uphold a system of oppression. The goal of this work group is to recommend terms to replace dependent adult and person in the law with updated terminology in a respectful way. As people were sharing their thoughts during the survey that I had mentioned at the previous meeting, and uplifting the term supported person and adult, I didn't think at any point in time that they were identifying what they were missing. I understood the term supported as wholeness or fullness, that they had what they need, even for the sake of the statutes. Even if a person didn't have the support that they needed, the various statutes serve as a way of supporting the individual. Some of the terms like functional limitation focus on what a person might be missing or lacking. I hope whatever term the commission chooses considers this in their decision.
Okay, thank you. And did you have any other additional term that you wanted the group to consider?
So what I had just stated as far as supported person or adult, or alternatively, a person or adult who is supported.
Okay, so you're saying supported person, or tell me again, because I need to have it literally. I need to know, like, it can't be a description. I need to have an actual a term that you would say should be in the statute.
Yes, the term is supported person / adult. The other term, which would be person first language, a person who is supported.
Okay. Who is supported. Okay. All right. So
Okay,
anyone else? I see other hands.
Greg DeGier and Christy have their hands up.
Thank you.
Greg?
Since we haven't had a chance to discuss the term person with disability, persons with a disability, or adults with a disability, I thought I should say a few words. I hope you've all saw the letter, my letter. It just, and I apologize for having not brought this up much earlier, but it just dawned on me after the last meeting that all of the terms we'd been discussing, including the one that I had been advocating, are too limited, are implicitly leave people out. And the only way to, and plus all of them had offended somebody. So the only way to avoid that, I think, is to use the common term that we use in the disability community all the time, people with disabilities, and to specifically refer them, whenever that term is used, to the specific definition that is covered in that term, and that would be a clear signal to cops, social workers, lawyers, people with disabilities, ourselves, our families, everybody, that if you want to know what that term means, here's where to go look it up and find out what it means, so that they can be guided by the law and also the common term that we're using in our community, people with disabilities.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Christy.
Yeah, for number one, the way that at least I said it, and I heard multiple people say it over the last few meetings that we've had, has been in the plural form. So person with support needs, as opposed to person with a support need, as in singular. Because it's implied that, if it's plural, it can still be singular, but there could be plural. So I think it's more appropriate to say person with support needs or adult with support needs.
So I appreciate that, and we can fine tune that, I suppose. Hopefully, that is not a sort of a deciding factor. There's statutes that indicate that when singular is used, that plural is also can be included depending on the context. If you have a plural, that can be misunderstood as meaning more than one. And theoretically could be a problem. It's also possible that, for example, just using that term as an example, person with a support need, it could be person with support need. Possibly, it's not perfect. And the same is probably true with each of these terms. So I guess what I would say is, and we'll see, I see James has his hand up too, but we'll see if James has anything else. What I would say is that, and I'm just going to ask for a show of hands, when we do this first, and then we're going to go around some more and talk, but you could indicate support for a term as you're first or second choice based on whether it was singular or plural. And I think that gets us pretty close, unless somebody feels like, well, it has to be either singular or it has to be plural. Otherwise, that's not a term that I can live with. Hopefully that's not the case. We have talked some about the singular and plural, and that's often a problem in statutes in any event. In the existing statute, it does say dependent person, not persons, but that's a little bit different. So, all right, James.
Thanks, Steve. Just real
Right.
quick, want to kind of reiterate that I would also advocate for the using a separate term or potentially understanding the scope of the work group, understanding the directions for one term, that abuse, consider a separate term for scenarios of abuse, specifically APS.
Right. So, excellent point. This assignment will not be done when this group comes up with some recommended or substantially recommended substitute term to the commission for the commission to continue on with the study. What Jim is talking about will be another issue that the commission will have to address, and we may need to come back to the working group and see what the working group thinks about this. As I've indicated in the meeting material, which is sent to you previously and before other meetings, there appear to be 7 definitions of these terms throughout the codes. 5 of them are virtually identical, but there is a different definition that relates to adult protective services, which is what Jim is talking about. There's also a somewhat different definition that relates to probate code situations. It has very little application, but it is a term that's used. And so the commission is going to have to figure out what it wants to do about those outliers. And I would suspect that they might want to do something different. So for now, this is sort of the base substitute term that we're working on. This is not going to be the end of the process here, and it might be that we will need to come back to the group. The commission may very well want to hear from the rest of you about these other issues. We're trying to get this first step done, which is to get at least a base term that the group feels there is near consensus would be appropriate to substitute. Not in these special situations necessarily, but at least for the 5 definitions that exist, which are all very similar.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. So, seeing no other hands, I guess I have to ask so that we can be somewhat organized here. Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Jessica,
Thank you. Is my volume okay?
It is.
Okay, great. Yes. So one leading factor that I've noticed in our previous 3 meetings is the very important work around choosing a less offensive term. But we were also asked to choose a less misleading word. And I don't feel we've really dedicated ourselves to that cause. So I would like, if people would please consider that in this meeting, to really look at the concerns around misleading terminology and the impact that has on the community that we're here to protect and serve. Thank you.
I think that's certainly a good point. I will indicate to you that it's very likely that when commission staff reports to the commission about the results of this working group, the staff will make some recommendations as well about how any term might be used. And a tagline following any of these terms, which says, as defined in section such and such, may well be a recommendation from the staff, because otherwise it's going to be very hard for anybody who sees the term to not know what the term means and not to even know that it's a defined term. And so it's important for there to be a signal that this is a defined term and that somebody has to look elsewhere to know exactly what it means. Nevertheless, I think Jessica's point is important in that there will be situations in which no one's going to have time or the ability to go look for the definition, and they're just going to be confronted with this term, and we'll need to have at least some idea what the term is referring to. On the other hand, I think as we've seen from 3 meetings, there's no way for a term to fully describe very precisely what we're talking about here, because the term is currently defining a fairly large group of people, including people who are inpatients in a 24-hour health facility. So we're trying to get as close as we can, but certainly it is a valid consideration that what Jessica has urged, I think, is that it should be at least somewhat close to what sort of a common sense description of the group of people would be. Okay, so, and I guess I have to ask one more question about this singular plural thing. I don't really know what to do about that. I don't want to make this into like a list that's now twice as long because one of them is singular and one is plural. Is there anyone who feels though that they just can't really indicate whether they support one or two terms more than another term unless they know whether it's singular or plural? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to call out. So now we have 8 terms now on the list because Yinka added supported person adult and person adult who is supported. So I'm just going to go through the 8 terms and call them out one at a time. And I'm going to ask for a show of hands. First, I'm going to ask if this term is someone's first choice out of the terms that we have. We now have 8 terms. This is not like a permanent thing. This is just to get an idea of where people stand. And then I'm going to ask whether someone is clearly opposed to this term. And hopefully it's not because they like another term better, but it's because they see some negative that would be really important for the group to know about. And then I'll ask for a brief explanation why they're opposed. So let's just see, we'll see what happens. So here we go. So the first term on the list, not indicating any preference, is person adult with a support need. So show of hands as to who feels that would be their first choice. Okay. The hands are a little bit hard to see. Oh, interesting. The hand raising apparently gets you to the top of the, okay, fine. Okay, now, if you could.
Steve, yes. Can I just interrupt you for 2 seconds? Just a clarifying question. Now that we got Greg's, the Greg's suggestion and his, the letter, I'm in a position where, that could be my first choice as opposed to the one I just voted for. But I wanted to, I guess I sort of feel like there may be in the discussion of it, I don't know if there are hidden downsides. It seems since persons with disabilities are my group's very first choice anyway, it seemed like a very good approach. And I figured the commission would figure out sort of the ins and outs of like making it work. But so I'm voting for this one, but that other one would be my first choice absent. Like if I don't hear something that I'm not aware of now, that, would change my reaction to it. So
right.
Anyway, take my vote with a grain of salt. It's either one or two.
This is not, you're not like locked into this. This is not something that's going to be recorded and we're going to say like, well, this had 3, but this had something like that. But you know what? I think that the point is good because because these other 3 terms now were not discussed. So everybody lower their hands now, please. And I will ask about those 3 terms. And I will first ask about any opposition. So that would address your issue, Nina. I will ask, so we're going to jump down to what's now number 6 on the list, which is Greg's suggestion. And I'm first going to ask if anyone has any opposition to that term, and if so, explain why they do. So Greg's suggestion was person adult with a disability as defined in, and then a code section number. So there are different definitions in the code, so this would not be exactly the same term throughout, but the only difference would be the reference code section number. So is there anyone strongly opposed or reasonably strongly opposed to using that term? Okay, I'm seeing no hands. Okay, good. I will just advise that something that was raised in a previous meeting, and I don't know if the person who raised it, I think it was raised by a couple of people, but at a previous meeting, what was raised was that the term person with a disability is already a defined term in the code in another code section. This would be by saying as defined in section such and such, that would obviate, hopefully that would obviate that. That was the only thing that was expressed previously as being a reason why this would be another thing I believe that was expressed was that the term has a sort of common understanding to some extent. It's certainly defined in federal law, and so it would have to reach beyond what the definition would be, because the definition includes, as I said, people who are in a 24-hour health facility. All right. Yinka, I'm seeing two hands.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yinka.
So I definitely agree. I didn't want to take up space with what we've discussed before as some of our concerns around it. But the only thing I would add is to the point that I believe Jessica has made in past meetings, that is, for example, law enforcement going to then look at each of these code sections for that further clarity, or other people who encounter these statutes. So that's just what I would say as a concern as well.
Okay, thank you. Jessica.
Yes, I haven't fleshed this out, but I have a curiosity that I'd like to spread out to the group, which is a person in a 24-hour facility in that moment, I believe, would qualify as a person with a disability, since a person with a disability is not somebody who has a permanent disability. It can be a temporary disability. So my first thought is that it would also be effective for somebody in a 24-hour facility, but like I said, I haven't fleshed that out. Thank you.
And I would say to you that if the term is as defined in section, and the section says that this person means a person includes a person in a 24-hour health facility, then they are, because that's the way the term is defined. But the question is whether it would be understood that way without looking to the definition. But okay, the two terms that Yinka suggested. Does anyone want to indicate? Does anyone have? I'm sorry. So Jessica, is that enough? If you could lower your hand, that would be great. And then Regina, hi.
I just wanted to make sure that I can still vote, because I'm in a place where I can't show my video.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We can see you. You can see a hand raised when you
Okay.
raise your hand. So
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you. So the two terms that Yinka suggested, I will ask about opposition to those terms, because for the same reason that was raised before, we haven't discussed those terms. And so there may be opposition that would convince other people. The first term was supported person or supported adult. Anyone who is strongly opposed to that term or has some reason why they think that would be a bad suggestion. Okay, Greg.
I would oppose that, just as I would oppose the suggestion that I had argued for in the last two meetings, because it implicitly leaves people out.
Okay, Jessica. Thank you, Greg.
I would strongly oppose, because I think it's very effective for certain communities of people with disabilities, but very ineffective for many other types of disabilities, including invisible disabilities and people experiencing homelessness that don't have their support needs met. I'm very focused on the misleading terminology because I do work with law enforcement over the last decade, and the legislature has moved away from elder independent adult abuse and into senior and disability victimization. We see that with the new mandatory police policy based off of the Senior and Disability Justice Act, which moves from elder independent adult abuse to senior and disability victimization. We also see it in another Senate bill that is the Elder and Disability Coordinating Council. I might be getting that a little bit off, and then also we see it in older adults and adults with disabilities. So my fear is that it would continue to perpetuate the misnomer of dependency and would leave out a vast majority of people with disabilities that are meant to be included. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now we're back. We're going to go back now to the list, and we'll go through the rest of the items to find out about preferences or opposition. So the second item on the list is person adult with a functional limitation. Is this anyone's first choice? Okay, seeing no hand. And is there anyone who feels relatively strongly opposed to this term? Okay, and Jessica, is the reason, would you say, for what you've already indicated?
Yeah, it's just an even more complicated, convoluted way of saying the same thing, and it's just too confusing for law enforcement and prosecutors and caseworkers and individuals.
Okay. So I see 6 hands from this group. I don't know if it feels like that's really enough, that we don't all have to explain reasons. Hopefully, unless there's someone who feels like this term is absolutely a great term and really wants to argue against everyone else. So just in the interest of time, I'm going to go down the list here and do the other 3 terms that we haven't yet discussed. So hands down, everyone. So the third term is person adult with a functional support need. Hands up if you think that's a great term. That would be your top choice from what we have. Okay. And now hands down, please. Are there hands, Jessica? Thank you. And are there persons who relatively strongly would oppose this term, think this is a pretty bad term? Okay. So Greg, Jessica, and I see Christy. Christy, can I hear from you, please?
I just think it's just too wordy. Too many words.
Okay.
That's the biggest reason for me.
Thank you. Greg.
Well, I already said why I'm against all of those things.
So you're just opposed to all the ones that don't.
Yeah, and in this case in particular, that term does not appear anywhere in any of the definitions. So it would be inventing a new term that does not reflect any of the definitions even a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, number 4. Person adult needing functional support. This is for so hands now for if you like this one the best so far. And I'm seeing Carmen. Okay. Thank you, Carmen. And opposition to the term. Okay. We are definitely okay. Thanks. So we got 5 hands. I think that's probably enough for now anyway. Last one that we haven't yet mentioned, person adult needing functional accommodation. Is this anyone's top choice? Okay, no hands. And persons who have relatively strong opposition to this term. Okay, we have 4 hands, 5 hands, 6. Okay. So, thank you. Now, okay, what I have is number 3 here. And you know what? I frankly, I'm struggling here because I spent some time trying to come up with a methodology that I thought might get us to a place where there would be something near consensus. But I don't know that we're there. But I have here in number 3 is commission staff will ask each working group member and any attending members of the public. And so Bobby, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry we weren't able to get your input, but you can have your input. We can call on you first and briefly discuss their top 2 choices. And maybe this will come out this way. I mean, it's possible, in real elections, sometimes you have ranked choice voting. And sometimes the second choice, everyone's second choice ends up being the person that gets elected because because too many people are just totally split on whoever the top person should be. So I guess it's possible. So, but we're relatively short on time. So I would say, like, take a minute. I'll call on Bobby first since he's in the public link. If you could just indicate 2 terms out of the 8 terms that are listed, and then indicate why you like that term. I mean, you can use a minute for whatever you want, but please don't go over a minute because we're just going to run out of time. Okay, so
I don't see.
he's not in the public audience.
Yeah, I don't see Bobby. I don't see any public attendees.
I was
Okay.
wondering, are we going to vote on number 6? I didn't get a chance to vote on that.
Yes, I'm so sorry. That's right. I wanted to make sure that we had an indication as to people being able to discuss those terms first before we then called on them. So yes, I'm sorry. We also didn't do 7 or 8 either. So number 6, person adult with a disability as defined in section, and then the section number. First choice for anyone. Okay, so that's a strong showing. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's helpful. Absolutely. And we had a little bit of discussion about potential problem with that term. Can I see if there's anyone who feels relatively strong opposition to using that term? Okay, Adiyinka. Okay, I'm seeing 1. Okay. All right, thank you. And then the next 2 terms, supported person adult. We've already talked a little bit about opposition to that term, but can anyone indicate, excuse me, is this term anyone's first choice? Okay, so I'm seeing Jessica and
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm queuing slowly on the raise and lower hand, but no, that's not my first choice.
okay, that's fine. And Yinka, also not your first choice?
Sorry, I'm just trying to be less disruptive. So as I've stated, it is my first and second choice.
All right. And so person adult who is supported, would anybody feel that that's their first choice? Okay. All right. So I guess the next step here that I have in what I indicated in the meeting procedure was to go around and ask for top 2 choices. So I guess we'll just start. Jessica, you're the first one I see on the screen. And I guess we're just gonna run out of time. If you have something new that you haven't said before, then take a little bit of time, maybe 30 seconds, to explain why these are your 2 choices. But if it's something you've already said before, I think people will know why you're picking these 2 choices. And so it would be great if you can just, out of the 8 terms which are on the list, you could just indicate your top 2 choices.
Okay, I might have missed the memo on if we did person with a functional limitation, but is that an option for voting?
Yes, that's one of the, if you have your meeting material, that is one of the 8 terms.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm vision impaired.
No
optic
problem.
nerve,
I will
so-
read them. I will read them one more time here.
No, it's okay. I know them because I studied them, but for some reason, if we voted on functional limitation, I just got lost in that shuffle. But not to take any more time and give room for others, my first choice is person with a disability with the reference sections for the definition to encourage law enforcement to actually read definitions and become more familiar with this population and their obligations. And second would be person with a functional limitations, even though it wasn't a first choice for offensive terminology, it is a very effective choice for misleading, for being less misleading. Thank you.
Thank you. Nina, you're next on my screen.
Okay, so yeah, my first choice is the person with a disability as defined, the Greg option there. And the second one is person/adult with a support need. And we've, for all the reasons stated.
Thank you. Regina. Hello, Regina.
Sorry, I couldn't
No
unmute.
problem. No problem.
So my first choice is the one person with disabilities with the section references. My second is person with the support need.
Thank you. Greg. Greg.
I think Greg spoke, but he was on mute.
You're on mute.
Okay. I think everybody knows what my first choice is, and I don't have a second choice.
Okay. Tony Chicatel.
Yeah, I have the same as Nina and Regina, but flipped. My first choice is person, adult with a support need. Second choice, person, adult with a disability.
Thank you very much. Catherine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine. My first is person with a functional support need, and my second is person with a disability as defined in section.
Thank you. Tony Anderson.
First choice is person with a disability as defined in section. And then second would be a person with a support need.
Jim.
Given whatever else, 6 and then 1.
Okay, 6 is person with a disability.
And 1 person with a support need is second.
Right. Carmen.
The first one for person with functional support need. And then number 2 would be number 6, person with a disability as defined in section.
Thank you. Adam.
Hi. For me, it'd be number 1, for this person with a support need, and number 3, person adult with a functional support need. Thank you.
Aninka.
7 and 8.
Okay, those are the terms that you suggested.
I'm sorry, real quick. I'm so sorry. I missed that last one. It cut out for me. Can you say that again?
Aninka indicated that her two top choices were the 2 terms she suggested today: supported person adult or person adult who is supported. Adria.
Hi. I'd like to vote for just number 6.
6 is person with a disability.
Yeah.
And no second. Okay. Jason.
Hello. First choice is person with a disability as defined. Second choice would be person with support needs.
Christy.
1 and 6.
1 is person with support need. And 6 is person with disability as defined. We're almost there. Vivian.
6 and 1. So person with a disability is defined, and then person with a support need.
Okay, and Nicole.
Okay. 1 second. Here you go, Nicole.
Nope, no problem. Thank you.
Get through. 6 and
1. Mom, please. This one was part needs.
Okay.
I would like to have just number 1, please.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Nicole. Appreciate it. Okay, so anybody I didn't call on? I think I got everybody that's on the screen. Okay, so this is helpful. I will report to the commission, give them an indication here of what's been indicated here in this meeting. Clearly, person with a disability as defined seems to be the term that was supported by most everyone, either as a first or second choice, and at least no one in this group today expressed any strong opposition to that term. And so that will certainly be noted to the commission, and we'll see what their thoughts are. There are potential sort of statutory considerations which may be problematic, that the commission may or may not feel are significant, and we'll have to see. I would say we may very well want your service or need your services going forward. I think it's probably appropriate at this point, though, to report to the commission where we are and then get further direction from them. Everyone is absolutely welcome to attend the meeting, which is on December 4th. The commission meeting, this item will be on the agenda with many other things. You can look on our website and you will see where it is on the agenda. You can attend personally at the actual physical meeting if you care to, or you can attend via teleconference. Either way, you will have an opportunity to speak briefly if you want. You don't have to. Sharon, anything else about that?
No, I don't think so. You covered what I was thinking, but I just wanted to, again, on the behalf of the commission and the staff, thank you all so much for your dedication and coming to these meetings and your very, very thoughtful feedback. Very much appreciated.
So we have a few minutes. I feel good that I'm not keeping you from work afterward, but anyone have questions that they would like to ask at this point? Okay.
No, but I would like to say how much I appreciate your work and the commission staff's work. We never would have gotten anywhere without it. This has been quite a complicated.
Yes. Well, thank you, Greg. We appreciate that. And anyone, feel free. You can certainly email me at any time, or you can email the commission through our webpage. And it would probably be good to keep looking at the progress of the study. I will certainly try to update the group, even if you're not needed to meet again. But you will see on our website, particularly on the study page relating to this study, what's going on. There will be a memorandum that will be presented to the commission at that December meeting, and that will be put on our website, and you can read it, and you can offer comment on memo. And again, like I said, you can offer comment in person or at the meeting, teleconference or otherwise. So I expect, or I don't know, I think it's likely I will see you again because we might still need more work. But if not, thank you very, very much to everyone. This is tremendous help. Absolutely a tremendous help. You all offered insights that I don't know that we could have received without convening this group. Sharon, anything else? Closing?
Just thank you, and please continue to watch our website updates. And we do encourage you, if you would like to attend the meetings and provide public comment, please do so.
All kinds of other interesting subject matter on the meeting agenda too. So it could be educational. All right. Thank you all very much for attending, and have a great afternoon. Thank you again for all your help. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.